Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to sell and trade this week. The first guy, Spencer Steer of the Cincinnati Reds. So Spencer Steer, he's been off to a great start this season in the first few months of the year, and he's really picked it up the last few weeks here. Steer on the season, 8 home runs, 31 RBIs, 31 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 288 average, and a 360 on base. In the last 2 weeks for Steer, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 10 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 396 average, and a 444 on base. So right now, Spencer Steer playing great baseball, playing every day for this Red team, qualifies at first and third. But now things are getting a little tight over there in this Red offense. Ellie De La Cruz just called up. Matt McLain, we know, was called up a few weeks ago. And Christian Encarnacion Strand, I think, is going to be called up sooner than later as well. And Joey Votto might be back. So if Steer can't make the move to the outfield, he's not going to be playing every day with all those guys on this roster, and obviously them going with the top prospects most likely. But the last few games here for Steer: May 30th at Boston, 2 for 4, running a rib. May 31st at Boston, 1 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs. June 1st at Boston, 1 for 3. June 2nd versus the Brewers, 0 for 2. June 3rd versus the Brewers, 2 for 3, a run, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. June 4th versus the Brewers, 0 for 3. June 5th versus the Brewers, in that one, 1 for 3. And June 6th versus the Dodgers, 1 for 3 with an RBI. So right now, Steer playing good baseball. But like I said, with guys coming up through the system and running out of room where to play Steer, unless he plays outfield the DH, that could be a bad possibility for him. And also, who knows if he's going to keep it up at this pace, is Spencer Steer. But so far, it's a good start for him. I know last season only a cup of coffee in the major league with 96 at-bats. But right now, he's a player I would sell high because I think these numbers, he's not going to keep it up at this pace. The next hitter, JD Martinez of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So what a bounce-back season it's been for Martinez, no doubt about it, this year. And they got him on a bargain deal in the offseason, a 1-year contract for only $10 million. So Martinez last season, he had back problems, and it wasn't working for him with the Boston Red Sox. Even though his final line last season wasn't horrible, 16 home runs, 62 RBIs, with a 274. But already this season, Martinez, he's almost matched the amount of homers he had last year, and 350 at-bats less, 15 home runs, 43 RBIs, 29 runs scored, a 276 average, and a 316 on base. And over the last month of the season, he's been on a tear, 11 home runs, 28 RBIs, 16 runs scored, a 302 average, and a 326 on base. So the power's definitely back for Martinez. Obviously, he's in a more talented offense than he was with the Boston Red Sox this year, with great hitters like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts headlining the offense in Los Angeles. May 31st versus the Nats, 1 for 3. June 2nd versus the Yankees, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 runs scored. June 3rd versus the Yankees, 0 for 4. June 4th versus the Yankees, 1 for 4 with a homer. And June 6th at the Reds, in that one, he was 2 for 3 with a homer and 2 RBIs. So he's tearing the cover off the ball right now, is JD Martinez. The power's come back after last season was a down year with the power, but a few years ago he still hit 30 home runs. But right now, I don't know if it's going to keep up with the back issues last season. And plus, he's up there in age now, 36, 37 years old now, is JD Martinez. And another thing, obviously, not great versatility, only qualifying at the utility spot. But right now, while he's hot, I think you get a great starting pitcher in the deal. And no, I'm not just going to trade these guys and sell them for anything. But if a right deal's out there while they're playing great baseball, these players, this is a time to do it this week. The next hitter I look to sell and trade this week is Brian De La Cruz of the Miami Marlins. So a few weeks ago, he wasn't even on the fantasy radar, but the last couple weeks here, he's really turned things around on the season. 8 home runs, 31 RBIs, 28 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 300 average, and a 351 on base. In the last month of the season, after getting off to the slow start for De La Cruz, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 20 runs scored, a 340 average, and a 404 on base. So he's going out there right now, De La Cruz, and he's driving in runs. And this Marlins team, they've been hot of late here, especially the last week and a half. 6 out of 7 games here is this Marlins team. I don't know if it's going to keep up, but right now they're playing good baseball, and De La Cruz has been a big part of it, batting third in the order for this Marlins team. June 1st versus the Padres, 1 for 4. June 2nd versus the Padres, 2 for 4, running a rib. June 3rd versus the A's, 0 for 2 with 2 RBIs. June 4th versus Oakland, 2 for 5, a run. June 5th versus Kansas City, 1 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs. And June 6th versus the Royals, 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs. So right now he's getting on base. He's driving in runs and he's on a tear. But the last few series have been versus bad pitching teams like the Oakland Athletics and Kansas City Royals, which obviously have bumped the stats up for De La Cruz. So right now, a guy that you picked up off the waiver wire probably a week or two ago, and if you could flip him for a decent starting pitcher, this would be the time to do it this week. And like I said, is Josh Jung of the Texas Rangers. So Josh Jung, he's having a great season, and this Ranger lineup very dangerous and possibly the best lineup in Major League Baseball this season, with great hitters like Adolis Garcia, Corey Seager, now he's back off the injured list playing well. Marcus Semien, another good year. Nathaniel Lowe, pretty solid. So a lot of good hitters in this lineup. And Josh Jung's off to a great start. 12 home runs, 38 RBIs, 43 runs scored, a stolen base, a 293 average, and a 342 on base. In the last 2 weeks, he's been on fire. 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a 404 average, and a 451 on base. So right now, those numbers aren't going to stick, obviously, for Josh Jung, especially that batting average hitting over 400 in the time and the on-base percentage. Yes, he's in a great lineup with a lot of good hitters, like I mentioned, where he's going to get good pitches to hit in a division where there's some favorable matchups over there in the AL West. But anyway, Josh Jung, I don't think is going to keep it up at this pace. And right now, while he's playing great baseball and his RBIs are in the top 10 this season in the majors, he's a nice sell-high candidate. May 31st at the Tigers, 2 for 4 run. June 2nd versus the Mariners, 0 for 3. June 3rd versus the Mariners, 0 for 4. June 4th versus the Mariners, 3 for 4. 2 runs a rib. June 5th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 4. And June 6th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 3 with a run. So right now, playing good baseball is Josh Jung, no doubt about it. But I think the numbers are going to drop down a little bit. And last season, we saw him in the major leagues. I know it was only 98 at-bats. The power definitely is legit, I think. But the batting average could fall quickly here for Jung. After last season, only 98 at-bats, hitting 204. So right now, while he's playing great and feeling comfortable up there, I think you could sell him high and pull a nice deal off. The fifth and final hitter I look to sell and trade this week here is Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays. So Wander Franco, one of the former top prospects in all Major League Baseball a few years ago. And this season, he's having a nice year. 7 home runs, 29 RBIs, 38 runs scored, 21 stolen bases, which is a huge number already. 308 batting average and a 372 on base. So Franco, he's a big base stealer this season. We know with the rule change, way easier for players to steal bases, where last season he only had 8 stolen bases. But right now, the average in stolen bases is what he's really bringing to fantasy owners. Because last season we saw him in 314 at-bats, 6 homers, 33 RBIs, 46 runs scored. So this season, playing great is Wander Franco. But like I said, his value's at stolen bases and runs. And if you could trade a guy who's giving you those stats, even though they're not the most important stats, this would be the time to do it. And right now, he's white hot, hitting 436 in the last 2 weeks with a 500 batting average, 11 runs scored, 6 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases. So right now, doing a little bit of everything is Wander Franco, but I don't believe he's going to keep this up. Yes, the stolen bases, he's easily going to have 30 to 40 on the year here if he stays healthy as Franco. But right now, I just don't see him possibly staying healthy the whole season. And the batting average as well, I don't see keeping up at this rate at 308, where last season he was a 277 hitter. So the last few games here for Franco, May 29th at the Cubs, 1 for 4. May 30th at the Cubs, 1 for 3 with a stolen base. June 3rd at the Red Sox, 3 for 5, 2 runs, a stolen base. And June 5th at the Red Sox, 2 for 4. And June 6th versus the Twins, 1 for 3 with a run. So right now, playing good baseball is Franco. It's only stealing bases and runs. I think the stats and the rankings inflated a little bit. At the end of the year, I think he'll only finish on the year maybe 15, 20 home run range is Franco with about 60, 70 RBIs, even though it's still a decent year. But I feel like he's more of a stolen base specialist than a run-scoring guy. And like I said, with the injury concerns throughout his career, I would sell him high right now. So that's a few hitters I look to sell and trade here in Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season.